What is going on, guys? Blazing here. Welcome back to the channel. Hope you're having a wonderful day, and thank you for joining me on another Raid Shadow Legends video. So we currently have a 10x on Yumeko, and you might have pulled her. Now, obviously, if you're an endgame player, you know what you're going to do with her, but for some of the newer players out there, if you got her, she's got a lot of versatility in her, right? You can use her for a refresh champion in your dungeons. You can use her for arena, right, which is what her main focus is. You can also use her in your Hydra team. And, I kind of want to go through some of the builds that you're going to want to use, mostly for arena, right? Everything else that you're going to use it for is going to be speed tuned. So there's particular builds for that. But arena, you have multiple builds. There's actually like 4 different ways you could go with her. But before we get into that, I've got a couple of voids. I'm hoping to maybe get a dupe, but let's see. Can I get something? We'll throw the 10 up. We got a Cold Heart, Confessor, Rip Fist, Doom Screech. This looks really, really blue. Well, all right. So let's get into going over Yumeko's kit, how you want to build her, and we'll do some gameplay. All right, so her A1 attacks one enemy 2 times. Each hit has a 7.5% chance of stealing the turn meter if the target is above 50%, right? If the target is below 50%, each hit heals this champion by 30% of the damage inflicted if they have less, right? So it doesn't do a lot of damage, so you're not going to get a big heal out of it, but the, stealing HP, stealing turn meter is nice. A2 places a Hex debuff, right? For 3 turns, basically reflects everything else put on, right? Any block debuffs, any sort of debuffs that are going to come on her or anyone on your team, there's a 75% chance of this being redirected or redirecting them back to whoever brought it. The nice thing about this, depending on when the peril comes in from Mortu, it can actually redirect that to whoever has the Hex. It does take some RNG to it, but you can make that work. Her A3, this is her money ability, right? On a 5-turn cooldown, resets your skills by 3 turns and puts your opponent's skills on cooldown by 3 turns. This is basically a Warlord and Kaimar kind of had a baby, and this is who came out, right? Passive places a perfect veil buff on this champion for 2 turns at the start of each round, right? So in arena, it's just the first time. Every time you move into a different phase during a dungeon, you're going to get 2 veils, right? Whenever a veil or a perfect veil is placed by this champion, placed by an enemy, has a 75% chance of stealing the buff. This happens before the buff is placed on the initial target, only when Corrado Foxhunter is on the team. And then she's also immune to all debuffs while she's under veil. All right, so how do you build your Yumeko? Well, there's plenty of different ways to do it. It really depends on which kind of comp you're going to use her with, right? And so in this one, we're going to basically use her as either our go first champion or speed tuned with our turn meter booster, right? To basically lock everybody out and reset us. Now, some of the other ways you could build her are with really high speed and resist, or low speed and resist, right? Depending on the sets. Now, bringing us into the sets, what do you really want? Ideally, you really want Perception. That is the best in-slot set for her. If you cannot get Perception, Speed works well, Stone Skin works well, Immunity works well as also, Untouchable also, and you can also use Righteous if you're going for a resist build. Now, in this build, what we did is basically focused to get her as fast as possible as we could with about 450 accuracy, right? And that's kind of what we cared about. We want to be able to go first and lock out the damage dealers. And if they don't have enough resistance built onto their supports, then we lock them out as well. But if we control the damage dealers, then we basically control the fight, right? As for skills wise, we have her fully booked. If you have her, you're going to want to book her. Her skill kit, both for PvE and PvP, works well. Ideally though, if you're just using her for PvP, just worry about the A3 and that's it. As for the blessings, now I have polymorph. It really depends on what the rest of the team has, but if you can take temporal chains or intimidating presence, that's going to work out well, right? But again, it really depends on which team setup you're going to have. As for masteries, support and defense, right? She's not going to put out a lot of damage, even if you use her in an Infinity Clan Boss comp. She's only going to do damage through the Hex. So we took Eagle Eye, we took Master Hexer, we took Lore of Steel, right? We took Swarm Smiter, we took Retribution, we took Cycle of Revenge, we took Delay of Death, and we took Solidarity. So let me show you guys some gameplay in Platt Arena. Okay, so let's go ahead and we'll start off with this team first, right? We basically have our Kymar, we have our Arbiter, Yumeko, and Rhodos, right? So let's take it off of auto. Now, in this, she is actually second in turn. So she's going to go after our Arbiter and lock everybody out, right? Go strip with Kymar. And then we're going to have our Arbiter, I guess, go again. We fell asleep here. We'll throw that on Brogni. Go ahead and reset. Now, the nice thing here is we're resetting Kymar and Yumeko at the same time. So it's just playing reset upon reset, right? Let's go and see if we can take out this Sifi. We did. Kymar next. Good. Lock them out again, reset our skills, put them back to sleep. Pretty easy right here, right? I'll just throw that back on auto. So you can see very, very powerful champion, right? We have the lockouts, we have the refresh, we have the hex. Their team didn't even get to have a chance. We just kept going time after time after time with our Rhodos, able to abuse the A2 and A3. Now, I want to see if I can use a different team. Here's a good example. That might not be, but we'll try it anyways. We're going to come in with Baron, right? Who's going to be able to nuke everybody, and we're going to get enough Sky Piercers to deal with this. That Rhodos might go off on us, but if we lock him out, we'll be fine. So we do get to go first. Now you see here, we locked out the Rhodos and we locked out the UDK. We did not lock out the Duchess or the Python, which is perfectly fine. So we'll go ahead and open up with that. Okay. Okay. Perfect. Go ahead and use that right there. Reset with Kymar again. Now, we just reset with Kymar, so we don't want to actually use that again. And that's why we lose. All right, so this was a loss. It is what it is, but you got to see the scope of what happens. So let's go ahead and end that. This seems a little dodgy sometimes. If you go up against Rhodos, you really shouldn't. This team actually here would be a little bit of a better showcase for it. I'm not going to edit out the other part. I should have picked a better team, but I got a little overzealous. So Again, we locked out their damage dealer. We didn't lock anything else out. That's perfectly fine. Kymar comes in, no problems. But still, no problems here. Our Baron is going to come in now with the A3. And we're pretty much going to nuke everything. All right. Again, reset with Kymar. Right. Come on. Just let me get one more turn. Let's go ahead and lock those out. And boom, we won, right? So you can see the appeal to having Yumeko. She is definitely a great champion. Let's see if there's anything else here. We'll go on again with this team. She's definitely one of my most favorite champions here. Now, here we locked out everybody but the Mithrala, which means, you know, this Duchess doesn't have any resist, which that's another topic for a whole other video about building champions. Always, one of the things you always want to do is make sure your Mithrala or whoever your cleanser is going to be open up with a cleanse, guys. Because if you don't, then what happens is this: I get to come in and you just basically lost all of your reaction right there, right? So you don't want to have that issue. Okay. Reset with Kymar. Yep. Sorry, Mortu, not going to happen. Back to sleep. And boom. Right. So it works out very well. Even if you just have one of her on the team, you saw with the Rotos, it was just perfect. So I guess the next questions that you guys are going to have is, how do I build her? Which comp do I have to go with? And I guess one of the things you're going to want to do is pick out your gear, right? Play with the optimizer, see whether you want to go a full resist as a go second, or do you have enough speed gear to be able to actually have both her and your Arbiter or whoever your turn meter booster is be fast enough, right, within the speed tune. So that's going to be one of the biggest things. Ideally, you want to have about 450 accuracy on her, right? Resistance-wise, you can't build for resistance if you're not going to go the whole way. Don't build 400 or 500 resistance. It's not going to work, right? You want at least 7. If you're in gold 5, you want at least 700. If you're going higher, you want 8, right? Lower elos, you could probably get away with, 400, 500 resistance. And basically, when you build it for resistance, you're locking her into that with just trying to counter warlords. That doesn't mean that you don't want to build some accuracy with her, right? You still want to be able to lock out those nukers. So the resistance side of the build is going to be a little more demanding than opposed to, just going out speed tuned, lockout, or trying to get her as fast as possible locking out, which is what I like. Mostly right now, most players actually have her in Platt Arena with about 400 to 700 resistance, just again to lock out the damage dealers. You lock out the Taras, you lock out the, Rotos or something like that, gives you some time. So, guys, if you liked the video, give me a thumbs up. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments down below, or feel free to reach out in Discord as well. Please don't forget that we still have the Chronom giveaway left for a few more days, right? So leaving a comment on any video from September 4th and on is going to enter you in for the Chronom giveaway. We will be pulling the winner on October 1st. And as always, guys, much love, much appreciation. Be safe, be well, be good to each other, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.